Hello, everyone, and welcome to PAO Fans International podcast. We got the American crew back again today. Really exciting episode, actually, because we have one of our longtime members. This is going to be his first time here on the podcast. We've got Yiango. Yiango, how are you, man?
Great. How are you, Antoni?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm really happy to have you on. We've been talking Panathinaikos with Yango for a really long time, and so I was super excited when he said that he was glad to be here. Of course, I'm back again with Alex. Alex, how you doing, brother?
Good, Antoni. Nice to see Yiango make his debut today. Looking forward to the chat. We almost had a full house, but Alki left us hanging. He's in his own hell, so we'll have to wait till next time we have a full house.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I know. If only we had Alki for the Yango debut, but I like this lineup that we got today. We got a lot to talk about. We had a pretty busy Panathinaikos week. We had two FC games, one cup game, one league game. We also had a basket double week. So that one definitely, packed house here. We'll kind of just go in like chronological order here. We'll just start off with the first game for Panathinaikos FC, which was the cup game. That one was against Atromitos. Panathinaikos ended up trailing 1-0 earlier in the game. It was off a set piece, off a corner, poorly marked. Unfortunately, I think it was Fikai that had left the Atromitos striker just wide open for the header. Thankfully, though, Panathinaikos, we made a comeback, scoring 2 goals and making it 2-1 to claim that cup victory. I'll just kind of bring it over to Alex, and then we can get Yango's opinion as well. Alex, how do you see this 2-1 comeback win over Atromitos?
I mean, like there were some really positive things. I mean, the positive is obviously winning, but once you get past the win, there were some really positive things that happened here. I think, on face value, the first thing is that, we actually came from behind to win, which was a really encouraging sign considering just the recency of like the stuff that's happened in the past couple of weeks, new coach and all that. But also kind of just the morale of the team, losing some games in reverse fashion after leading 1-0 and then, going down 2-1, 3-1, like against Feyenoord, for example. So it was good to see that they had it in them to, come back from behind 1-0. So that was really positive. It was also really positive to see the coach in only that was his, I think just his second game, right?
Yeah.
Trust a pretty heavy rotation. Like that was, okay, cup, like we're used to rotation and this and that, but new coach, you don't know if he's gonna, trust some of the bench guys. And he heavily rotated, which is a pleasant sign that he felt like he could trust some of the deeper guys in the team. You had Bregu, you had Fikai. Okay, it's a cup match, you have to feature some youth, but you also had Taborda, you had Badovic, Mancini, Jedvaj. So you got like 7 or 8 guys out of 11 who are rotated, if not more. So that's just nice to see that he felt comfortable enough in such early days to do that. So those were my kind of my broad impressions, which I think is good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You said a lot there that I definitely agree on, especially with that heavily rotated squad. That was, a really nice sight to see. Especially, just coming back mentality wise, for me, I was really concerned about this team. And, I mean, losing or being down 1-0 and then coming back 2-1 was a step in the right direction. Yango, how did you see the game?
Basically everything Alex said. It was nice to see the rotation. I mean, it's a lot of guys that we said we haven't seen and kind of wanted to know why we haven't seen, mainly Taborda, what was going on with him. Showing wise for him, I felt like it was not his best game. He didn't really show me anything that'd be like he really needs to play more, or even say start over Pacaseta, because I know a lot of people wanted him to, which I think is a bit unfair because I think Pacaseta's been very good for us this year so far. Um, but going back to the game, I like the fact that he did the rotation. He brought in the kids, like Alex said too, Bregu, Fikai. He subbed in Zeka too. So that was nice. It's because these kids, you got to give them at least some time to see if they could contribute to the team. I do think Blego's got a spot in the 10. I know in the beginning they thought he could play the 8, but it's not, you're not using him to his best abilities. Um, and then, kind of what you said about mentality, this team has been mentally weak. So the fact that we went down and came back to win the game, it's nice to see, but then again, as we'll probably discuss later, that second game kind of shows that we are still pretty mentally weak. I feel like a little bit, but just in this game itself, not bad. Happy that we got the win. Rotation. Rafa still getting his feet wet with the players, the team, the culture, the league, the opponents, all that stuff. So I couldn't really be too upset with anything with the game.
Yeah, great summation there, and I'm glad that you brought up Taborda as well because I wanted to kind of present that to you guys as well. It was kind of weird because like Yango mentioned, like we were all wondering, Taborda is like the $5 million signing. We were expecting him to come in and be that starting 10. And so we really haven't seen that the last few weeks, really, or to even start the season. We went through a couple coaches. Finally, though, we had him starting against Atromitos. I think was he playing more on the left side? That's what it was looking like to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah,
kind of was.
yeah, he was more on the left side. So, again, I've been critical. I've definitely been critical of him in conversations, but something that I am trying to give him some leeway on is that he was playing in a position that's maybe not his natural suited one. Um, so I did see some things where I'm hoping to have some or hoping to see some improvements from him. I read that Benitez is making it like his own personal challenge. I don't know if you guys saw that, to take Daborda like under his wing and try to develop him.
I didn't see that, but I actually saw today Leofoto said that Orocha spoke with him and kind of figured things out and said that he needs to work a lot harder in practice, which kind of probably says why a lot of the coaches weren't picking him either.
Yeah, logically that definitely does make the most sense, right? If you're not trying in practice, you're not going to get picked. And so again, 2, 3 coaches, we're seeing some concern. So hopefully, he picks it up. I don't know how it was in Argentina. I know he was a solid player there, but the trainings and things are a little bit different. Maybe for him coming over to Europe. And here's hoping that it's not like a mentality issue going forward. But obviously we want him to succeed here. Maybe he needed that reminder from a guy like Rocha. Um, so he's gonna have to fight for that spot. So
Hmm.
anyway, I'm glad that you brought that up, Yango, because I did want to touch on that a little bit. Um, any last thoughts you guys want to add on the cup game before we move into Volos?
Mm. Alex, you want to go first?
I don't know if I've anything I thought we played pretty decent, honestly. Like I wasn't upset with how we played, even when we went down 1-0, like just in a general sense. The win was deserved, and I wasn't, based on, kind of just to, we don't have to jump to the next game yet, but like just to kind of drop a little seeds. I didn't really expect what happened on Saturday based on what happened on Wednesday. Because that's, we didn't blow anyone away on Wednesday, but I think we played good enough, especially on, day two of a new coach. The tactics seemed fine. We were going forward. The ball movement was good. Again, especially with this rotated squad. So, um, yeah, I guess that's kind of like my concluding thought.
Yeah, I agree. Not really. Can't. I'm not too upset with anything. I thought we played great. I mean, a little lack of concentration there on the goal that we ate, which it is what it is. That happens once in a while. But yeah, I agree with Alex pretty much.
I think just to, since you brought up that goal, there wasn't anything glaringly bad, like in terms of like the build up to that goal, except for I think just at the end, Fikai was really poor. And I think that's kind of something we've talked about in the past. Like, is he a center back? Like, is he going to be a first team center back at some point? Because he comes on and he gets cameos here and there, like 10 minutes. Okay, this one he played the whole game, but in the past year or two, it's been 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe a half or something. And his defensive problems kind of shine through time and time again. And, it's I think becoming when he's getting these 90 minutes, like it's becoming more glaringly obvious that there might be a center back issue with him. So I guess that's kind of something that we could touch on. What are your guys' opinions on kind of if he's a center back or not for the long run?
Yeah, I mean, was he playing center back or was he playing as a
Yeah.
left back in this game? He was playing as
Yeah,
center back.
Mladenovic was left back. He was
Oh,
center
okay.
back along with Palmer Brown, and then
Palmer Brown.
Jedvai was right back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. So, yeah, when I saw that goal, I mean, it was just like exactly like you said, just lack of concentration. It was just like irresponsible. They're setting up for the corner and he's not even checking over his back or anything. You just see the striker just run in, and I honestly I just laughed out loud when I saw it, because I'm like, how do you make a mistake like that at this level? And to your point, Alex, it is, it is concerning if that's supposed to be somebody that you want to look in for the future at center back. I mean, again, I mean, what, he's 20 years old, but still, it's like you can't make mistakes like this at this level, especially in a
Yeah,
cup game.
yeah.
That's a no-no, especially going forward. If we want to make this team into an eventual title contender, you can't have these defensive lapses. It's a no-go.
Yeah. I think I don't remember entirely. Was he kind of covering two people there or no? Because I think it was Baku that scored and he was a runner in. So I
He,
don't
yeah,
remember.
it was like behind him, kind of like he was just in between two guys, and he wasn't like he. I guess you could say he was covering two people, but he was also kind of covering no one. Like,
Well,
He was
that's
just
what I was
standing
gonna say. It's like you're
yeah,
just zonal marking there, and really,
yeah,
if again you want to talk about being a center back in that position there, you got to have like the mentality be like, hey, there's two guys. I got one here. There's one behind me. Someone needs to come and cover to help me. So, touching on defensive abilities, I think maybe it's just lack of playing time in the sense of at an upper level like this. Because coming from the youth squad to a professional team, like a men's team, it's a big jump. And honestly, I'm a little surprised he hasn't gone out on loan from last year, because I feel like he could have used that game time instead of just sitting on the. Because he really, like we said, he hasn't really played what 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, maybe 50 minutes in total the whole season. It's not worth it. He's better off doing a who's the kid that we have at Levadia? I don't remember now. That's on loan there, center back.
with Kappa, right?
I don't
Is it?
remember his name.
name.
But anyways, what I'm trying to say is he plays there, he gets his chances. It would have been nice to see Fikai go. I don't know if he could play on a lower division team in the Super League, but go Super League 2, play on one of the better teams there. Go to Galicia since they just dropped down. Get that experience so you can work through this, and then we as a team can see, do you got what it takes actually?
Catres.
At least that's who it was,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's where I think that the club itself and him kind of have screwed up slightly,
yeah.
because you can't
Like
just let him rot there on the bench.
Catres is a great example that you brought up because they're both 20, right? So like they're in very similar stages of their career. Developmentally, like Catres is probably ahead of Fikai for exactly the reason that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, he is.
And Fikai is still young. Like we're not going to take anything away from him, but like if you're kind of making those kinds of mistakes, or you lack that kind of your game has this kind of hole at 20, that's a pretty glaring issue. And again, there's time to fix it, but 20, other leagues, like you got 18-year-olds starting, like this guy Vuskovic, who's this Croatian guy. He's 17 and he's like incredible. Okay, I'm not comparing Fikai to him, but 20 is not, you're fringe youngster, like,
Mhm.
so the clock's kind of ticking, and I think some better decisions, like you said, Yiango, are could definitely benefit. I like that you brought up Catres.
Mhm. Yeah. So I don't know. That's what I think with him, but we'll see how he develops.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great point. Great point right there, honestly, about him, because it's true. It's the question that we always ask and we just get tired of it, but it's like, what is the club doing? Like it's decisions like these that we always bring up and we just scratch our head. Look, we're a bunch of guys, across the US watching the team, and it's like we're asking these questions. It's like, what's going on, within the actual club when things like this are happening. So I don't know. just overall play again. I basically echo exactly what you guys were saying with Atromitos. I felt like it was a positive takeaway. Bar that goal, we saw positives, right? We saw that, we were basically working against that mental weakness that we've been seeing with the team throughout the start of the season. And, I took that game as like a stepping stone into what we were supposed to start seeing now, as we headed into the Volos game. Which, again, the Volos game was yesterday. And, just kind of segue us a little bit into that, we ended up losing the game 1-0. And, it's one of those things where I was surprised, and I also am kind of thinking to myself, like, why am I surprised when, you just never know with Panathinaikos. It's very unpredictable. Just, after what we saw on Wednesday against Atromitos, to then losing against Volos, with our ex academy player scoring against us, Labrus. So, I kind of want to, again, I want to turn it over to you guys, and just like, I want to ask you this: what went wrong? What did you guys see that went wrong in this game? Yango, I want to start off with you.
Um, I mean, to put it simply, I personally agree with Chirivella. He had an interview after the game and he says that we can't score and that's our issue. I mean, we could say that defensively we let up stupid goals, which again, this one that we allowed was run a play. They had one chance. If honestly, if Lambro had that same exact cross coming into him out of 100 times, he'll make that maybe once out of those 100. But the fact that we miss such easy chances kind of kills, and this goes back to the mentality thing that we said. It just kind of drains on the players. It's like, damn, we missed that one. Oh, there goes another one. And it just kind of builds up over time. And it's just, I think, simplistically to put it, is us not scoring is kind of killing us, at least in these games. Other games is we have other issues, but this one specifically, I think that's kind of killed us.
Mhm. Alex, how'd you see it? What was the big issue?
Yeah, I think what you said, Yango, with like not scoring, it kills you mentally. And there's only so many times that you could be like, I should have scored that, I should have scored that, and it's not taking a toll on you mentally. And also like the decision making you make, like literally physically when you go down the next time. Like there was one really early on before it went like south that was, maybe it was like 15th or 20th minute. It was when Tete was like at the penalty spot, right? And like he just had it right there. Okay, it was on his right foot, so like his weak foot, but it was still right there. The whole, his right side, keeper's left side of the goal was completely open, so at least half the net. And he was at the penalty spot, and he, tries to hit the side netting when, like, listen, like most coaches are going to tell you, like, yeah, you're going for the side netting, but sometimes you don't need to, right? You have the whole goal open. The middle of that half of the goal would have done the job. So you're trying to be too cute, too cheeky, not cheeky, but too cute, too precise when sometimes you don't need to. So it's, and again, all of this is happening really quick. Like it's easy for us to sit here and be like, hey, you don't need to hit the side netting on this one. You're drilled to do certain things. So you can't, you gotta, kind of take it with a grain of salt. But these situational, you know, instances where sometimes you don't have to, do a certain thing really hurts us because then you just put it wide when you're, 6 meters away or whatever.
Like
Um,
overcomplicating it. Just
yeah.
keep it simple. Just put it in the net.
Other than that, like it felt, I don't know. I'm gonna say it felt like a game from old times, like a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know when. Like times when things weren't going well. And what I mean by that is like there was a lot of empty possession, right? Like one thing that the commentator pointed out throughout the game is that Volos actually holds their own in terms of possession. They've played 4 out of their 8 games prior to this one against top opponents. So that would be, the guys we know, Olympiacos, AEK, whatever, PAOK. And they still on the season have, I think, like 46, 47 possession overall. So they've played all their hard games, but they're still holding almost 50% possession. So that's good for them. Yet in this game, they didn't hold possession. We had almost 70% possession. So we actually kind of outperformed what they would have expected, yet we weren't doing anything with that possession. So teams that are granting them more possession, let's say PAOK or AEK or whatever, are doing more with that limited possession, right? They might play PAOK and PAOK might have 55% possession, but PAOK's doing more with that possession. We had almost 70%, and we're doing nothing with that possession. We're not scoring. We're putting some chances, but we're wasting them over and over. So that's really, really depleting, like you said, Yango, and concerning.
Yeah. This is a problem, and I'm glad that you brought it up, Yango. This scoring issue is something that we've been seeing for a while now. Recently Swiderski's been scoring pretty consistently, but it's like we fail to score. If we do get one, it's like we fail to score a second, right? We fail to get the goal that kills it, right? Although again, the Atromitos game, there was the opposite effect. It was kind of like, which I brought up. We scored the two goals, and I'm like, okay, this is a problem that we faced before. And it's looking like maybe they figured it out. But again, in this Volos game, it's like it's just demoralizing. It's depleting, to use your guys' words. Like I don't understand. And we can kind of touch on it a little bit more. Because I like the conversation that we were having earlier this week about like the strikers and like who's gonna be, first choice, second choice, third choice, what have you. Um, but it's like again, the team just needs the killer. It needs a killer go-to scorer versus, in seasons past, let's say with Jova, Palacios was scoring, or Aitor was scoring, or even Foti in that season where he went off was scoring. So we kind of had a go-to guy. We had a good system in place. And it's like what you said, Alex, it's like a lot of like dead possessions in the Volos game where it's like nothing was really culminating or happening from these build-up plays. And it's like we don't have the guy to get us back into the game and then give us that mental boost, that morale boost that we need. So um I don't know. I is it the striker? I know Yango, you mentioned that like, there's been other issues that we've kind of touched on as well with the team. But I guess yeah, like you said, this Volos game, the main takeaway was the lack of having that scorer. Um I just kind of wanted to get your guys. I know it's only a few games in, but what are your guys' overall thoughts so far of Rafa, with these few games that we have seen from him? Yango, do you want to take it away?
You can. Well, to real quick, I don't necessarily think even this last game too was like Swiderski's fault since he was the one that was playing against Volos. Because when you have play a team that just sits back like they did, nothing against them, you play to win the game. I don't care who you are, you play to win. So, but when you're a lone striker up against a low block like that, you need help. You need another body in there throwing itself around, open spaces. We need movement. So the scoring issue doesn't necessarily fall on the forwards specifically themselves, but I think it's kind of like a tactic and just like we have no play. We always just try to cross the ball in to just him, and there's no one else in the box running in, which kills it. But what did you ask again? I'm sorry, I went off.
No, no, I'm glad you brought that up though, because yeah, it's true. Like we've seen so much like crossing and dead possession not helping Swiderski. We've mentioned it with Foti as well in the past in last seasons where like it seems like he wasn't having that additional support. But I just wanted to ask like the style of play so far. I know Rafa's only been in charge for a
Yeah,
few games, so like we haven't implemented too much yet, but have you been seeing things that are maybe gonna trend towards a positive direction?
I
Or are you
have.
guys thinking it's more the same?
Yeah, no, I think I do see things that look positive. I think he is definitely going to get the best out of Chirivella. The way he's been playing, he's been one of our best players, or if not one of the best, the best player since Rafa's come. I've really liked what he's been using him with because when Chirivella first came in, I was like, God, this guy's a monster. Pressing perfectly when to receive the ball, smart passes, and then he just kind of dropped a little bit, which is weird, but it's nice to see him picking up again. But I have no issues with the way we've been playing, really. We're making the chances. You can't really say we're not. And kind of like what I said before, if you don't score and you keep missing chance after chance, just in Panathinaikos fashion, because this always happens to us, one attack from the other team, they hit us, and it just always happens. So I don't really have any issues. I really think we're going to see more of Rafa's philosophy, at least in January, obviously, because he'll have a window to bring in players that are kind of what he wants. but I'm really gonna give him next year he's gonna have a pass this year, but next year is really when I'm gonna start not criticizing, but like taking a look and seeing if we're actually making any progress or playing in a way that he wants us to play.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Um, yeah, I agree with basically everything that Yango said. I think the one thing that kind of stands out to me is that we continuously have a similar problem, regardless who's the coach, and it's handling the low block teams, right? So if you told me, like, who are we going to bring in as coach, right? Like before Rafa, after Rafa, whatever. It's the guy who can handle these low block teams, and I don't know who that is, and I don't know how that is either. That's not what I'm paid for, but who can solve the problem of these low block teams? Because we've had Yova, we've had Rui, we've had Tareem, we've had Rafa now. They all fall victim to the low block team sooner or later, right? So who is the coach who's going to solve these low block teams? And that's who the coach should be, honestly. And I'm not saying I'm out on Rafa because he screwed up one low block team. All the other guys have also done that, but I'm just thinking about the long run, right? Because this is what costs us leagues, these games, right? Geles to Volos to whoever. Like the list goes on and on. Atromitos in previous years, Asteras, like same bullshit all the time. So who is going to solve the problem of these low block teams? Because what happens is that you have a lot of, dead possession, and you're just passing the ball around the box. It goes left, it goes right. It goes left, it goes right. And you're just looking for avenues of attack. They got 9 guys in the box, right? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just keep passing until you look for an avenue attack. You don't find one. Like you said, Yango, we go to the wings, you cross it in, and you're looking to find the head of like 3 or 4 guys in the midst of like 9 other guys. So you're just gambling basically that it's going to find one of their heads. You got to get a little more creative, right? And what that creativity looks like, it could be a lot of things, but I see that, well, we at least if you're going to go the avenue of the cross, it shouldn't be this like loopy cross every single time. Like this weak cross that we're like floating it in, trying to find. Look at their cross. Okay, it was this driven. It was in a different situation. It wasn't, passing around the box until we find an avenue attack. It was obviously on the counter attack, so the numbers in the box were different. But well hit cross with pace. If the guy gets his head on it, it's gonna be a powerful header, right? Because the cross itself has all the momentum. All the guy has to do is get his head on it and obviously direct it, which you know that's also 1 in a million. The way his back was facing towards goal, but still, you've already put yourself in a better position to succeed because you've done a more, let's call it interesting thing rather than this floaty, loopy cross in from the side. I want to see more driven crosses. Like we're in positions like Gotiras is like in on the right side, but like in the box, like in a position where he could just like do a driven cross right in front of the goalie, in between that danger spot, the goalie and the small box. Sometimes it dings in. That's fine. Like no one's going to complain about that. But you just got to try different things than just the same cross over and over again. If you're gonna result even if you're gonna have to result to crossing, vary the crossing. Then we could discuss. Okay, you shouldn't be resulting only on crossing. What are your other avenues of attack? So the coach that can solve that is going to be the most successful coach we've seen in this recent era.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that point up, Alex, because that's why I was asking the question. It's like again, it's only 3, 4 games in, so I'm not, it's not me trying to like pick on Rafa or anything like that. I agree with Yango. I'm gonna obviously give him this year to get his philosophy kind of sorted out, but it's like we're seeing the same pattern, right? All these different coaches and the same issues come against these low block teams. Olympiacos is able to figure it out. PAOK is able to figure it out. And to your point about the crossing, I mean, look at the guys that we have. Like Mladenovic can't hit a cross to save his life. I mean, his crosses look like attempts at goal sometimes. And it's like, they're not accurate. They get blown out. Even Kyriakopoulos isn't that good of a crosser either. And then Kotsiras is kind of hit and miss. And so like you look at that and you know let's say on the wing as well. Let's say Juricic as well. Juricic doesn't really cross that much. He likes to cut inside a lot. So it's like our mode of delivery is two guys, the wing backs that really aren't crossers, not very good crossers to begin with. And it's like the coach, of course, needs to figure that out, vary the crossing, right? But also, it's like maybe our scouting department needs to look for players that, are good crossers and maybe, can deliver something different for these sides. Because again, you got Swiderski on an island by himself and the balls are being crossed over his head with, a packed box against him. He's not going to be able to get anything onto it. And when the crosses do hit him, to your point, Alex, they're weak. So there's not really much on the momentum side for the ball to actually make a difference and go in. So,
And also, like, by the way, and we've talked about this too in the past, like, Swiderski is not a super tall striker. Like, he's 184, right? So that's like 6 foot basically. He's not that tall. He's not short, but he's not like your target man. Like, let's say, okay, obviously we have to bring up Jerry. Like, he's not your
yeah,
Jerry,
it's like 6'4", yeah.
or any of the other guys you watch in other leagues. Like, so you're not really playing to your strengths either if you're going with this fully cross heavy. Again, I don't think that's the tactic. I think that's just what we resort to in desperate times. So I'm
Mhm.
not saying that like Rafa's like, oh, like let's play this cross heavy game, even though we have seen that over the years we do play often very heavily down the wings. That's kind of just our style of play, even if you like look across many coaches. But I'm not saying that Rafa's telling them go cross. I think that's just what happens in these situations when we face a low block and we don't have avenues of attack. So that's what teams try to do. I mean, teams are probably exploiting this. Like, I don't know how good these middle to low sides in Greece are preparing for games, but since we're seeing it time and time again, I have to think that they're exploiting it, right? Like they see that like what are our trends when we get desperate? We play to the wings. That's good for us if you're like Volos or whatever. That's good for us. Let them cross it. Their striker's 184. Okay. Our center backs are 190, 192. Great. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah, we don't vary our play. It's cross and pray, and in a sense, it's very reminiscent of like I don't know if you guys had seen Barcelona around the time when I think it was when Neymar had left. Barca was in a similar position. They're just constantly crossing the ball into the box, and they were constantly losing points and getting knocked out by these low block teams. It's too predictable. It's like it's very simple, and when it works, of course, obviously it works. But other times when it's very predictable, and like you said, when our striker is 6 foot, you're right on the money, Alex. I looked it up while you were speaking. Swiderski's 6 foot, so it's hard for him to, if he's surrounded by two 6'3" center backs, he's not going to be able to head the ball in. Versus, a guy like Yeremiev, 6'3", you know,
Right.
that's at least one area that he'll excel in is usually kind of finding the ball on a cross. So
And that's when he's put in the game. When he's put in the game 80 and later when all we're doing is crossing, 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 and we're looking for nothing else. But
Mhm.
Swiderski 184, Padovic 185, Desser's 185. They're not short, but they're not your target men that you're sending the ball into. Forti was 187, right? So he's not like much taller than them, but like if there was ever a time to focus on, the cross heavy, it was when we had the taller striker. Now we have the slightly shorter guys. So again, I'm not saying that this is our tactic. This is just what we resort to, which doesn't favor us because of what we have on the pitch.
Yeah, and kind of funny you bring up Footy. He actually scored a header this weekend for Sporting. But,
yeah,
it's we've had this issue, like we said, with the crossing, with resorting to it all the way back to when Jovanovic first came to, I feel like. It's
yep.
just I don't know why, it's the players, and you talk about the floated crosses too. I listen, it's so hard for me to get mad at Kotziras because he's not a starter for our team, and that's fine, but he's put in a shift this year because of situations. But every time he gets in the box and he goes to cross it, he does exactly that lofted ball you were talking about, Alex. Every single time, I'm like, oh my God. It's so easy just for the goalie to come and out, grab it. It makes it so much harder for us. Just drill the damn thing right in the middle. If it deflects in, great. If it deflects out for a corner, we got a corner. Win something. Like that's exactly that point of view saying we just always loft it in there. It's like, nah, you got to stop. Drill that in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the game against it must have been the Atromitos game. It After like 5 crosses, for example, I know you're talking about Kotira's Yango, but when I was watching Mladenovic, after sending like 5 crosses over the bar like inaccurately, he finally does a driven cross to, I think it was Tete, who had a great chance, and I think the goalkeeper saved it. It's like, just switch it up, drive the crosses low. Eventually the opponent's just gonna get used to what you're doing. Like, they watch film before the games, like they know what we're doing. And like you said, that was an issue that we also had under Jovanovic. But at least back then, I think we had Bernard, and we had Palacios, and people that could actually accurately cross, so it kind of helped out. But yeah, this has been just it's too predictable, too one-dimensional. And again, Rafa hasn't had a time to build this team up yet. But it's like, going into the winter window, and then as well into the summer, like that's when we need to start looking at these types of players that we're bringing in and their profile. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do we want and what do we need against these low block teams? Because that's a big issue in Greece, is you come up against these low block teams a lot. And you're not going to play Olympiacos every week. You're not going to play an Atromitos that wants to play an open game every week, right? You're going to have to also come up against these
Right.
low block sides.
Hmm.
Like that would be my first question, right? Like if I was Alafuso or whoever's hiring the manager, I would tell me, all right, you want the job? Explain to me how you're going to handle these low block teams. Okay, for that to happen, you have to identify what the problem is. We don't know if Alafuso is capable of identifying what the problem is, but again, this is not the only problem, but this is a huge problem year after year. So you want the job. How are you going to solve the problem of these low block teams that we see every other game, right? Because there's so many of them at this point. A lot of these teams, we have 14 teams in the Super League. 5 are, you'd say top 5, and then at least half of them are able or they do play this low block. So how are you going to solve this low block that we see almost every other week? And that's plagued us for years now. That's literally the number one question, because like, we sit here and we debate, like, is Rafa the right guy or is Rui the right guy? Was he let go prematurely? Tareem, they didn't ask him to come back, this and that. Like, it's all the same if you can't handle these teams week after week. And this is where we lose, you know, the titles, and we lose second place, and then we lose third place, because there's a lot of these teams. We don't have a lot of, we're not a 20-team league, but if 7 of the 14 teams are playing this kind of low block style, that's a lot of games.
I mean, that's how we lost the title with Jovanovic when we had that lead. I mean, we couldn't score a goal. Like, that was a huge issue. Teams would score on us, and then we couldn't score. And it's
And
yeah.
I like that you brought up Chirivella, Yango, because why did he shine on Wednesday, right? Obviously, he had the 2 assists, but something that we talked about off air too is that the 2 assists came in a fashion where there were through balls, there were leading passes, right? So that's explicitly different than what we were forced to do on Saturday, where we weren't finding those penetrative avenues of attack into the final third, into the box, right? He was able to break the defense, get in between the defense with these passes, and then you have the guys running onto them. Mladenovic was running onto them. Padovic was running onto them, and that's literally the difference between scoring 2 and scoring 0, 4 days in between. So that's why I also mentioned at the end of our talk of Atromitos, I couldn't really see Saturday happening after Wednesday, because we were penetrating, we were finding those creative passes. Tirivea, specifically was finding this. So I would never have said like, hey, like, we're penetrating a defense that we're probably going to face the same caliber on Saturday, and it's going to go from this to that. Like, I would have never guessed it, but it did. And the question is why, and that's what you have to solve. Why?
Hmm. That's why Rafa gets paid the big bucks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Four,
Yeah.
4 mil, eh?
Yeah. Highest paid ever, I think, right?
In
Yeah.
Greece, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be the highest paid in Greece, you gotta face the biggest problem that you have, which is these low block teams.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Earn your money.
Yeah. The Atromitos game seemed a lot more open than the Volos game.
And they were still up 1-0 though, So
Yeah.
like basically the same situation, right? The opposing team was up 1-0, yet you were able to do something there that you weren't able to do on Saturday.
I guess you could say maybe it's because they were still trying to attack a bit. I don't fully remember off the top of my head, but maybe they left the spaces open, which allowed Chivea to make those passes. But it's either way, it's frustrating, and I completely agree. Like you don't watch Wednesday's game and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna lose to Volos."
Right.
No, you go in expecting we're gonna smack them 3-0. We played good. Like we're opening them up. Just
Yeah.
didn't happen though.
Yeah. Classic Panathinaikos. It's so I don't know, guys. I was looking ahead at our schedule, and it looks like our next match is going to be a European one, right, against Malmo.
Hmm.
I'm not too familiar with how Malmo's been playing recently. I do know, like, historically, they've been kind of a team that has had like a pretty rigid defense. Um, I don't know. It's going to be another test, right? Obviously, Europa is a different level than the Greek league. Um, and I think this is going to be Rafa's first European game with us as well. So who knows, man? I mean, we're gonna, back to Chirivella. I think we're really gonna have to rely on him heavy. And just, he plays like a Ruben Perez role a little bit, in my opinion. Like just kind of he's the
Yeah.
conductor for us.
Very similar.
And we'll have to rely on that and just hope again maybe Swiderski can find the back of the net. Dessers is finally back up to fitness. Is that right?
I think he's training, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't think he's match fit yet.
Okay. Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier as well because we had this conversation and I thought it was a pretty good one as well. Now that I mentioned Desters, like, so let's say Desters comes back. What is your guys' kind of preferred striker order now? Like, it's not obviously going to be set in stone, but as things kind of stand, where are we sitting?
Go ahead, Alex.
I think we've talked a little bit about this, and I think there's some good points. I think Swiderski is obviously the most informed currently. He's, don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's kind of scoring a goal every other game, so maybe half a goal per game, let's say. He's definitely the most in form. Okay, there's only one comparison. The only one is Badovic right now, but also Dessers was playing well before he got injured, right? So I don't think he should be forgotten. I think in a general sense, it's going to be, a fluid situation. Whoever is kind of the hot hand, I think they all have something to bring to the table. And we're gonna have a lot of games. Like we're for the foreseeable future, we have 2 games a week. So um, you're probably going to be seeing a different starter twice a week. Or one guy's going to be starting one day, and one guy's going to be starting another, and then there's going to be the third. So as of right now, I think I would be starting Swiderski in Europe, and I'd be starting Badovic in the league. Um, and Dessers would be the kind of one off the bench in any situation. Um, but again, I'm not like wedded to this. I think it's whoever is scoring the most. I think Badovic also has, the ability to play on the wing, so that's he's got that going for him. Obviously, I don't think we should, unless in an emergency, I don't think we should be starting him on the wing. But I think based on game script, he could uh, come and play on the wing. We also saw him play behind Swiderski, so he's I think the most likely to be that like second striker, which I think could benefit Swiderski and could also benefit Dessers. So hierarchy right now, I think it's Swiderski, Padovic, Dessers. Obviously, Dessers is not available right now, but I think that's continuously changing.
I would pretty much agree. I'd probably say just off. It's going to be based off of form for the most part. I think you go Swiderski, um, just Bontovic, and then Dessers when he comes back. But I wouldn't be because Dessers was brought in to be first choice. So I'd be shocked if they don't give him the opportunity to win that position back. But let's not forget too, Tete is coming in January, which means we're gonna have 4 strikers. So that adds a lot of tactical flexibility for us. I don't know if like you said, Alex, if they're gonna try to play Bondovic more on the left wing since Zaruri has been kind of a waste, and Juricic has been playing more in the 10. So I don't know if they're gonna try that or even we get a formation change. I wouldn't be shocked if we tried doing a 4-4-2 since we're kind of thin in the middle too. Do a 4-4-2, 3-5-2, something like that, 5-3-2. But with having so many strikers, I could see us having that ability to mix and match. Tete, I think, could work well with Bondovic and Swiderski. Dessers and him probably going to switch off if we were to do a 2-man formation. for striker, and Banovic and Swiderski. But going back to the original, I'd probably go Swiderski, Desert slash Banovic, and then Tete until he comes. But
For
that
what it's for what it's worth, Transfer Market says that Rafa's preferred formation is 4-4-2. I'm not going to put too much weight into that. I think it's just, data stored in the back of your head.
mm,
We obviously have played mainly 4-3-3 with any of the recent managers, like obviously dating back to at least Jova. So, there's a balance between like what the coach wants, what's his preferred, what's the kind of the identity of the team. But I do think that, that's a decent shout that there could be a formation change. Um, at the end of the day, you have to use your best pieces, right? Like you have to play, like we were talking about before, you have to play to your strengths. So like if your strengths are, these individuals, then you try to get them on the pitch. And if two of the individuals happen to be strikers, then you try to get them on the pitch and make some strides to play a 4-4-2. I didn't know that Tete was coming in January. That's
Yeah, he
interesting.
does.
yeah, him. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people want Pantalili to come in then too, but I don't. Originally I didn't think we needed him, but after yesterday, I'm like, yeah, we need him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to your point as well, Yiango as well. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think Yeremayev is actually rumored to be leaving in January.
I think his
So
contract ends then. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll be having so we'll have Dessers, we'll have Swiderski, Tete, and Pandovic. And I was just thinking, you guys are mentioning all these things here, and I'm thinking to myself, back to last year, like kind of thinking to ourselves about strikers, and like that was an area where Foti was struggling, Swiderski was struggling, Yeremayev, I mean, he only plays like 10 minutes here and there, so we were really kind of like struggling at the nine. Now we're having a conversation of like, who do we play, who do we start now? And so at the very least, we at least have somewhat kind of sorted this area. At least Swiderski's found his form. Bondo's, in my opinion, has been playing really solid. I like what I've seen from him. We know that Desser scored against Olympiacos, and then I think he scored another really important goal before his injury. And so again, we kind of have these proven goal scorers coming in, and as well as Tete. I think I don't know who sent it, but I saw some stat where like Tete has like 9 goals, and then all of Panathinaikos this season has 9 goals combined or something. Was it?
Oh, I sent that. It was Pantalili and Tete combined together, I think, have nine, and we as a team have nine.
There you go, right? And it's like, it can obviously harken back to like the style that we play, but you bring in a guy like that, and that's a little more comforting as well. So we'll have options. I agree with what you guys said. I think as of right now, I'd probably keep Swiderski in for the European games just because he's our top scorer there. Let Desters try to fight for that spot back. But I also won't be upset if if Bandovic sees more minutes as well, because I like this guy. I mean, he's got good technical ability. He reminds me a little bit of Foti with those skill sets and kind of being able to play as like a second striker. So we'll see. And then of course Tete as well. 4-4-2 is something that I've been wanting for a long time. I think we saw a little bit of it with Rui last year, like once or twice maybe. But again, it all just comes down to what is this current management gonna do now? We've got a new technical director, or we've got a CEO. We've kind of shuffled the cards up top. So I don't know, guys. It's gonna be interesting for sure. You
I
guys
gotta
want?
ask.
Yeah,
Let me just ask this in
yeah.
terms of the striker conversation. Is there any situation that you guys see that Swiderski gets sold in the winter? Given that, we're basically looking at Swiderski, Padovic, Dessers, and Tete, right? So four strikers where you really only need three, and that third guy doesn't really see the pitch that often, right? So is there any situation, and I'm saying Swiderski because he's the only possible sale, right? You're not going to sell Tete's coming in, Dessers just came in, and Padovic just came in. Swiderski's under contract till 2028, so he's the only one who would have sale value, and he's playing well. So do you guys see any possibility of that?
Go ahead, Antoni.
That's a good point. Personally, if I'm in charge, like from a business point, I see the logic behind it because he's in form and you can maybe get some money and cash in on him. Stylistically, from like just a play point, I wouldn't. Just because at the very least so far, you know what you're getting with Swiderski this season. Like he's at least able to score 1 goal a game for the most part. Um, but again, you just don't know. We have a new management, we have a new ownership, or not a new ownership. God willing, maybe that will happen soon. But we have a
You're just rage baiting right now.
yeah, yeah. We have like a CEO. I'm kind of trying to figure out the names of these new guys, Baldini and all these guys. So I don't know what they want, right? Are they trying to go and turn us into like a business where we're just like turning players over and making profit? Or are they trying to really restructure us and set us up for, next year and making us a title contender? I don't know. That's a really good question, Alex. Yango, what are you thinking?
It's hard. I feel like it falls on Rafa. What does he want? Does he want to do a 4-4-2? And this is just us talking. There's no news, no rumors, none of that. But does he want to have four strikers to have that flexibility? If not, if a good offer comes in, I'm not against selling him personally. I understand like the whole idea is like you don't sell. I mean, if he's in good form, why sell him? But we've said this year's kind of a wash a bit with the team. I feel a bit more confident now with having Baldini and getting a new TD and getting all these different people in who actually know the sport and how to run a team to reinvest that money because we need to. We made money this year. Why aren't we barely spent anything really? Um, so it wouldn't shock me if we sold him, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it and I wouldn't be like I'm not for or against it really. I'm just
Yeah.
it wouldn't shock me, and I could see it.
That
I see your point on that too. It's saying like
yeah.
it's a possibility.
That's kind of where I stand too, because like if you look at the facts, like, you know, again, out of the four guys who we're gonna have in January, he's the only one that could be sold. So if you're looking to offload a striker, it would have to be him. But also him specifically, he has some kind of appealing, let's say, reasons to sell. For example, obviously he's in good form. This is probably, if you want to sell him, this is probably the time, that the only chance you're going to get, because he's entering basically the peak of his prime now. He's 28. He's in good form. He still has years on his contract, so that's where all the resale value is. We bought him for about 2 million. So you got to think like, hey, it's 2026 in January. He's through 2028. Is he ever going to be worth more than 2 million? Is he ever going to be worth more than, let's say he's worth 2.5 million or 3 million today? Is he ever going to be worth more than that between 2026 and 2028? And the answer is probably no, right? So this would be your opportunity if you want to cash in on him to do so, especially when you have these signings coming in, which are signings that kind of keep you covered, right? They're younger signings. Tete is 23, right? Bozovic is 24. Okay, Dessers is older, but then you have that kind of veteran presence and two young guys. And Swiderski kind of, it sounds funny to say, but kind of is the odd man out, even though he's number one in all our power rankings. But that's also why we're talking about the potentiality of a sale, because that's, you're cashing in. So just like you, Yango, I'm not advocating for it, but I would not be surprised if it happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a good point, honestly, because yeah, that was not even something that I was thinking about, but it definitely is in the realm of possibility. Again, with everything kind of up in the air with this new management.
But then again, I do agree with you too, Yango, that I think it really depends on the formation, because if you do play a 4-4-2, it warrants more to the four strikers, right? Because you have to start two, and then you could relieve both of them if you want, or you
Mhm.
could relieve one. You rotate based on midweek weekend. So if he's stuck on 4-3-3, that sale becomes more likely. If he's interested in 4-4-2, I think it drops down.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, to go back with the 4-4-2 talk, uh, because of our issues at that center mid spot, like I know we've talked about it in the chat. Renato is, I mean, he's a good player and all that. We always say that, but his availability kills us. We're really trying to run a three center mid formation on how many guys right now? Four of them. Taborda, who doesn't really play, so I don't know if I'd count him, but it's basically Chirivella, Cherin, Shopis, and Juricic, who's been our left winger. It makes it tough, which is why I still think that we could go that route. But I mean, we'll see. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to see Swiderski getting sold because I don't. There's so many variables up in the air. Are we going to cut Renato Sanchez's loan short? That's something that I know Leo Fotos talked about, and he said we should just do it because why should we pay him? He can barely play 30 minutes a game and just cut our losses, and we just got to figure out and bring in a few different people. I know we definitely need a. I know this kind of turned into a transfer talk, but we need a 10. We need a left wing, and we need a left back too. Still, I think Mladenovic has dropped off big time from last year, and it's sad. I don't know if it's because he played every game, he's just burnt out now, but the drop from last year to this year is crazy for me with him because I know Antoni, you were talking about with the crosses. Last year his crosses weren't the worst. They weren't bad. They were dangerous or whipped in. This year it's just like he's just kicking and praying to God, crossing in
Yeah.
Salah, like what they used to say about Liverpool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 100%, dude. You know, kind of going back to what you're saying as well. I think like the last time we even played a 4-4-2 consistently was under Anastasio, I think.
And
I
was
can't
that a 4-4-2 or was that the diamond?
it was that diamond like 4-4-2,
Yeah, with
like no wingers.
Lagos and yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
I
we had
liked it, honestly. I thought it
me
worked
too.
good for us at the time.
Yeah, we won a cup off of that, and the next year we were super competitive. You know, we had Berg and we had I think it was
Carelis.
Petric. Oh
Paredes,
yeah,
yeah.
Carelis. Yeah,
And
you're right.
Petric was a part of the team too.
Yeah, yeah. So we kind of had that dynamic where we had like a fast kind of forward, and then we had Berg, who was a little bit slower, but he was kind of the finisher, and it worked out. And you know, I don't know kind of what the management is thinking going forward, but it is like something to think about. Like again, even the midfield part, you bring up a good point. Like we're not exactly spoiled for choice midfield wise as we are with the strikers right now. So it's like try to make do with what we can. Going back all the way to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast is like what do you have available to you? What can we make the most of? And you know, maybe just playing those two mids, having Chirivella, super important to this Rafa side, and then playing whoever's going to be useful next to him. And then of course we still have the left mid and right mid spots. It's just going to be a little bit of a we got to make sure those guys work rates as well on the left mid and right mid spots are where they need to be. Yeah, but yeah, this is good topics, you guys. I'm liking these questions and these proposals here. Let's see. So any
What do you guys expect from Malmo?
that's yeah.
Ooh, I think last time I saw they're struggling a little bit domestically,
Yeah.
and
So
I
they're sitting mid-table. They're 7 out of 16. Like they're actually right behind Djurgården from last season. They're even on points with Djurgården. So they're well into their season. They're 29 games into their season. So they're obviously in a very different spot than we are. But yeah, they are struggling a little bit. They, like I said, 7 out of 16, 12 wins, 10 draws, 7 losses. So, not average, but something above average.
wouldn't shock me if we had a young boys again where we kill them. Like I wouldn't put it past this team. The way we are, we're so like hot and cold. We'll play so good and like that game, for example, we were able to score. It happened. And then we're have the games like Volos. So it wouldn't shock me if we end up beating them because they're in bad form and it's Europe. And for some reason, like Panathinaikos always does well in Europe. We've had so many big games over the years, even recently. So I could see us winning, but I wouldn't be shocked if we draw it or lost either. It's just one of those things.
They seem to be in pretty bad form overall, other than just that, the table standings that I said. Have uh they haven't won since they're winless in their last three. They've won 2 games since the end of September. So um, yeah, they're not in great form. Their most recent Europa League game was 1-1 against Dinamo Zagreb, which actually flatters them. Dinamo Zagreb scored in stoppage time to make it 1-1. But if you look at, I did not watch that, but if you look at the momentum chart, it was completely lopsided towards Zagreb. Um, Zagreb had 21 total shots to their 6. So they got completely outplayed at home. Okay, Zagreb is a solid side. They were a pot 1 team. Um, but yeah, they got completely outplayed at home, and that's kind of hopefully what we do.
Yeah, we're playing away. We're playing up in Malmo, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
We Is it turf up there or is it grass? Do we know?
I could let you know in a second.
Because I know
Probably turf, right?
that's what I would assume. Last year we
Yeah.
played Drew Garden and it was on turf, and we struggled last year. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I
Mm.
think Young Boys was turf too.
It's
Was
grass.
Was.
Oh, it's grass?
Yeah, it's grass.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. What do you think, Antoni?
Yeah, I legitimately don't know what to expect because, like you said, this team is so up and down. You don't know. Like, it okay, let's say if I do analyze it, right? Depending on how they set up. So if we see that they're open and attacking us, we might see an Atromitos, right? If they're low block defending us, we're probably gonna see a Bolos, right? Because we know what this team excels at so far and we know where this team really struggles with. And so if it's open, Chirivea, I think, can find the pinpoint passes that we need if he's on. The low block is going to be a struggle, but it's like you just don't know with this team. That's the thing. Like you watch Olympiacos or PAOK or whoever, you can kind of suspect. Again, Europe is kind of hot and cold, but you can kind of get an idea of, all right, I think PAOK's going to beat them, or I think Olympiacos is going to. With us, we could beat Barcelona on Monday and then lose to Califea on Friday. Like it doesn't make any sense sometimes. So it's just yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make a prediction either because every time I do Yango, we always cop it bad. So I'm definitely not gonna do that. I don't want to jinx us like I did last time.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna expect a low block. They're actually in a pretty bad position. It feels like we're in a bad position in Europa League, but they're in a worse position. They have only 1 point from 3 games. Okay, they've also played one of their harder games. That would have been Dinamo Zagreb, since that's a pot 1 opponent. But they I don't think they could really afford to sit back. They need to kind of come to us, especially being a home game, sitting on 1 point. You could kind of call it a free hit for them. They don't have anything really to lose from this. Like even a draw, I don't know if that suits them a lot, because then they're 2 points out of half their games, and they've played a couple home games in there too, at least 2 home games. So all in all, I don't think anything other than a win is going to suit them here. They don't have good goal difference either. They have 2 goals scored to 6 conceded. We have 6-6, so uh, they're not in a particularly good position, and I don't think they're in a position to play for a draw. So I'm gonna expect them to come at us. I'm gonna expect open, which I think is going to benefit us, and um, I think we could go there and get a win. I think we can.
I agree.
All is open on the realm of possibilities with this team.
That's true. We
That's
could lose 5-0. That's also a possibility.
you never, yeah, it's true. You never know. You never know. That's what talking with Chris, that's what I always tell Chris. I'm like, dude, never get too high on this team. Never get too low on the team. But I think pretty much we've talked a lot about PAO FC. I'm just kind of wanting to switch gears a little bit because we had a double week with the basketball side, some news coming out from the basketball end. Um, we had our first game in EuroLeague of the double week was against Maccabi, a team that we kind of have a bit of a little rivalry with in recent years. After our playoff shenanigans that we had against them, where it went to game 5 like 2 seasons ago. We ended up winning that game. It was score wise, especially from the fourth quarter on, pretty dominant. It wasn't like that the entire game, but again, that's basketball up and down. It for me, from what I saw, you guys, this team it's a lot more of the same from what we saw last year. Like the defense is like non-existent. It's like a black hole. I know a lot of fans were like really hyped after we beat Maccabi. Um, Again, it was a good win, but again, the play just wasn't good. It helped us that Maccabi couldn't hit the side of a bus. Like honestly, like They had so many open shots and they were clanking them, hitting off the backboard. They even at towards the end to get themselves back in the game, they missed bunnies. They missed layups. We ultimately took over and were able to finish them off in the fourth quarter. Um, it was more so the Monaco game that was the real test, which we ended up losing that game. Monaco was pretty much in control the entire time. It's been a big issue. Again, I think the schedule's been kind to us for the basketball side, and we finally kind of played a real team that will test us besides Barcelona. And we ended up losing. Again, a lot of defensive lapses, a lot of easy cuts, a lot of backdoors. We just didn't have any answers. Sluka came in and he was doing what he usually does, playmaking, dictating the offense. Kendrick Nunn, obviously very, very good player, but if he's not scoring, he's not really impacting the game. He was doing his part scoring, but I don't know. We had a injury for Yurtsevin as well, so now we're down Matthias Lesor, which we already knew. We're down Rashawn Holmes, who got injured in the Maccabi game. He's at least going to be out for a month. I'm thinking longer. I think he has a meniscus tear. And then Yurtseven's going to be out 2 weeks. I just saw that before we started the podcast. So today, Ataman came out and he said that we're getting a center. We're seriously considering getting a center, and of course, I think that's going to be needed because right now we're just down to Mitoglu, who isn't even really a natural center. So um, I've been rambling on about BC here, you guys, but like, are you guys sharing the same concerns that I've been having about this team so far to start off? Yango, did you
I'll
want to go? Or Alex, did you want to go?
yeah,
Alex,
I'll say that, like, I mean, I just don't want to like overreact because like it's well documented that like our fan base is quick to react, and we lost, and that sucks. You never like losing, but I don't think we like really got outplayed that much. Like statistically, like everything was pretty close. We were just kind of second best in a lot of things, but we weren't like particularly bad. Like we shot the three well. They were 8 for 25. We were 8 for 24. Field goal percentage was pretty close. Obviously, like they were a little better because that's the difference between like 6 and 8 points, but like it wasn't huge disparity. So we didn't like shit the bed, I would say. We were just like slightly worse and second best in a tough away game too. So, that's not the end of the world. And overall, if you look at just where everyone's sitting, I think it's a very balanced EuroLeague this year, right? So we're at 5-3 and we're like in eighth place, right? Top three teams are 6-2, and then there's a bunch of 5-3 teams. So it's quite balanced, and I think it's going to continue to be like that for a while. I think we're going to see those 1 through 8 spots, or let's say those maybe 3 through 10 spots are going to be very close, which is not dissimilar to what we've seen the past couple of years either. So obviously we're aiming high, but I don't think we're in panic mode.
Yango, did you want to add anything in?
I would agree. I would say we're not in panic mode, but the biggest concern for me, honestly, is, and it just kind of goes back to the old saying, defense wins championships. If we want to win EuroLeague again, we need to figure out our defense. And I know somebody wrote it in the chat one day, but I hate the way how we always just try to double team shooters and it just leaves somebody wide open. It kills us. Like, are we just not good enough to stick to the guy? We can't rotate off of screens well. We have issues with pick and roll. And I know you said Antoni with Nunn. Like, if he can't score, I love Nunn. I was happy when he first came. I was excited to see him. But if he can't score, he's a liability for us. The technicals, the fouls, he kind of gets that bit of an attitude about him, and it's just not good, not mentality wise, but like morale wise for the team. All the other players see it. It's like Sluka getting older hurts us. We need that floor general, that unselfish guy to help and who fights. And he could still do some of it, but he's just restricted because he's older now and it sucks. But defense, we need to figure out our defense. And if it's getting in a center, I mean, we got to do it. I know we were chasing Valanciunas in the summertime. That was a whole saga itself, but we definitely need to do something with our defense.
Yeah, that and me and Chris are always talking about the doubling. Yiango, like every time I was watching the Monaco in a game and I was just getting so pissed off. Like it's so obvious. Like we leave their shooters open and that's what happens to us. And just like you said, defense wins championships, 100%. I saw a stat. Again, the sample size, right? We've only played like what, 7 games, I think it is. 7 or 8 games. The year we won EuroLeague, we were allowing 70 or 75 points per game.
Hmm.
Last year, I think it was like 80 points. And then I saw stats so far this year, it's like 87 points per game we're allowing. So that's like a 17-point jump. Again, it's only a sample size of 8 games compared to the other ones, but I mean, that's concerning. It's like visually, like you see the problem, right? And again, Lesor's out, our centers, but we had Rashawn Holmes up until Tuesday, and we were still struggling defensively. So it's like there's times where I watch us play with 3 guards. TJ Shorts, I think he's a phenomenal player, but I mentioned in the chat with Chris, I don't know if he was the right signing for the team fit wise, because now you have a guy that can't defend because he's a smaller player. He's an offensive weapon, but again, if he's not scoring, he's really not contributing as much. He's like another Nunn with worse defense.
Hmm.
So you've got Nunn, you've got Sluka out there sometimes, and then you got Grant. So you got these 3 kind of smaller guys on the court with right now Dinos Mitoglu kind of filling in as like a center, and then or like as a 4, and then you'll have like Yurtseven in. And to his credit, Yurtseven's actually been pretty solid. But it's like defensively, that's just you're not gonna win the EuroLeague like that. Like Valanciunas would have been like the dream signing for us because if he was healthy, he would have brought a lot to this team. And I don't know, it's like questions need to be asked. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it's like I've been a huge Ataman fan, but it's like if things don't start to change, or if we don't adjust and fit our play style to win, I mean that's when you need to start looking at like what's going on with the coaching. That's really big. I know DPG came out and he posted like we need to have patience with the team and this and that. But I mean for the most part, guys, it's like the same team coming back. We just added TJ Shorts and we added Rashawn Holmes. So it's not like, it's a whole new team this year either.
That's what I was gonna say. The core is basically there from the beginning. So what's changed?
What's changed is Lesor. What's changed is Lesor, honestly, because nothing has changed, but Lesor has changed, and that's really unfortunate because shit started going down when we lost Lesor. And I don't think I mean, we all loved him and we all knew he was a big part of this team, but I don't think any of us thought that losing him for this amount of time was going to have this big of an impact. Obviously, an impact, but this big of an impact kind of, I think, caught us all by surprise. What also caught us by surprise is that the fact that he's out for this long, which kind of is bullshit, because that's not how it was posed to us, right? He was supposed to come back at the end of last season. We were getting told a lot of things. We were getting told that he was going to, be a factor in the Final Four. To be honest, I thought that was bullshit the whole time because how is that going to happen without him ramping up, right? You don't come back from this severity of an injury and this long term of an injury without a ramp up in any sport. And there was no ramp up, right? There was no ramp up, no integration into the Greek league where it's lower rhythm, can have a ramp up, can gain minutes, pace of play and all that. And we were still getting told that he's gonna, come into the Final Four, be a factor, and he played like what 10 minutes or something, and was
Yeah.
not a factor, which obviously was not a factor. Like, how can you be a factor in 10 minutes, and how can you be a factor when you didn't get into real game situations before that? Um, and then he's just gone missing since then, right? He went from being allegedly healthy at the end of last season to missing, right? I think even the guys last week said he's a new age Palmer Brown, right? What's going on with him? And it's really frustrating because we were told stuff that I think quite obviously was bullshit, right? And I think not only we were told bullshit, but the handling was bullshit. And it's really frustrating for someone who we could sit here today and we could sit here, a few months ago and say that it all went south when he went when he got injured. And to mismanage that big of a piece feels really bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's,
And you don't expect that from the BC, by the way. Like, you expect that bullshit from the FC because, like, we've seen mismanagement time and time again. So, like, say whatever. Like, we don't know what's going with Paul and Brown. Fine, whatever. I'm used to it. But you don't really expect that from the BC. So that's just another. That's like the cherry on top in terms of frustration because it's what's going on.
yeah, it's and to that point as well, I could have sworn that I thought he was supposed to come back at the end of October. I thought I read that somewhere, and then now I'm seeing, like, I don't know, it's just stuff that I see on Twitter, so I don't know if it's true or not. But then now I'm seeing like he's gonna come back during this month, but
And
it's like
now we're looking for a center. Like,
now we're looking for a center, and it's like I don't know what's going on, honestly. Like a similar injury that I can remember, because Yango, I know you're an NBA fan. Like, remember Gordon Hayward when he
Yeah,
broke his ankle? Like, that's what it's kind of looking like to me. But Hayward took forever to come back. He came back, like, I want to say around like January, so it would be like around like this season coming up. January is when he finally came back, and like he wasn't the same player. And I'm hoping that's not the case for Lasor, but it's weird. It's weird, honestly.
it's very weird. Like you said, Alex, it's not. We expect this at the FC, not the BC.
Yeah. It's like he played those 10 minutes. I mean, again, it was 10 minutes. Like, he didn't seem like he was like, injured playing, but then it's like he just disappeared. He had a whole off season plus, like, what, 2-3 months now in, we're in November, and it's like still nothing. I don't know. It's like I don't know if I ever see him practicing either. Like, I don't know what the heck is going on with that. Um it's odd, like I keep up with the BC on social media, as I'm sure you guys do as well. It's like I'll see like TJ shooting, I'll see Sluka shooting in the background, but it's like, where's Lasor? So I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's this year for BC. If we don't figure it out, it's gonna be another disappointment, because Monaco's looking solid. Again, they were finalists last year. Fenerbahce is gonna struggle because they lost assistant coaches, they lost players and stuff like that. So I'm not expecting much from them. Olympiacos is kind of up and down. They have like Fournier. I saw some post about Fournier that he hasn't been doing good apparently. So they're weird. They're kind of like choke artists. It's just, yeah, it's odd. It's this basketball season's gonna be weird, and I'm not trying to be a doomer. I'm normally positive with the basketball side, but I'm just seeing stuff logistically where I'm like, this is bad. You can't win a title in basketball, especially in EuroLeague where it's like super reliant on like the Final Four system. If you have a leaky defense, it's
Mhm.
just not gonna, it's just not gonna happen. So hopefully, I mean, we'll start to see some names of like a rumored center or something like that. If that report that I saw was true, because sometimes there's like those like EuroLeague Central, just like NBA Central posts on Twitter, and I fall for them sometimes. But if that's what we're looking for, hopefully, it's something solid. I wish we didn't get rid of Wendy and Gabriel, honestly. I liked him, but it is what it is, you guys. I'm trying to take a look. It looks like on the 5th, we're gonna play Red Star.
that's a
Uh,
tough one, bro. That's a
that's gonna
tough
be
one.
tough. It's gonna be in Serbia, so
Yeah.
we know how it gets, like, in Serbia during those games. So
Yep.
it's yeah, it's gonna be
They're
tough.
one of the few teams that are 6-2. Obviously, we're not far behind. We're 5-3, but they're looking. They've played some weaker guys. They've played Maccabi, who's sitting close to the bottom. They've played Dasvel, who's sitting close to the bottom. So they've played some weaker opponents, but they've also beaten Zalgiris, I think. So I think Red Star is kind of legit, and going there is going to be tough. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think they hired Sasha. He used to be the coach of Monaco before, and he's actually a solid coach. I'm forgetting his last name, but he is a good coach. So yeah, they're gonna continue that form, and I think it was Chris that brought it up. Our next few games are gonna be actually, we're gonna play Paris away. I know they kind of broke that team. We're gonna play Real Madrid after that, um, and then we're gonna be playing Dubai, and Dubai actually has a pretty decent team as well. So these next like 3-4 games, actually 5 games, we're gonna play Partizan as well. They're gonna be tough. We're not gonna play easy walk in the park teams. We started off kind of fortunate. We did play Barca and we did play Monaco, but the other teams that we played, I think we're better than, especially on paper, and so we should have won those. Um, but again, we'll see. This team, this basketball side, this year. I'm not feeling too confident with them, honestly, you guys. Um, let's see, and we haven't had an Ottoman like book your ticket to Final Four. Like he hasn't given us anything like that.
He's waiting for the center. That's why.
Once he gets the center, yeah, I will see you all in Oaxaca in Final Four, and the Final Four is gonna be in Athens.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we gotta be there, dude. That's gonna
We
be such a
have to.
shame if we're not.
We
And
have.
I feel like they're feeling the pressure a little bit about that, you
Yeah,
know?
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think yeah, they for sure because it's like you have to make it. You have to make the Final Four in your home ground. Um, let's see. Yeah, so that's pretty much the all the news that I got for BC. Again, we had that double week. We didn't have a league game today, it looked like. Um we're gonna play our
Can you,
next.
sorry, just afterthought. Can you imagine DPG if we don't make the final four? How much time, money he went into renovating the fucking stadium, building the team the way he wants it, waiting to get the final four. Can you do I bro, nah. I don't want to think about that. That's
I might have to
crazy.
mute him on Instagram, dude.
That's crazy, dude. He's gonna.
Yeah.
You can't mute him. You're gonna lose out on all the good stuff.
That's true. That's true. I'm just gonna see like all those little bubbles popping up like his
Oh
stories
yeah.
blowing up, like shaking his phone and all that.
Dude, he's gonna leave no prisoners, bro. Everyone's gonna get fucked.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they are. We might just see this whole team just get like freaking like
Yeah, dude,
revamped.
the guy is absolutely unhinged. He's not gonna hold back at all. I would be scared. I would be scared if I was Ataman players. I'd be scared, honestly. So book your ticket. Yeah,
Book your ticket. You know what? You're right. Come to think of it, maybe he's not even saying book your ticket because it's already in Athens.
yeah,
So that's why we haven't had that legendary quote yet. And then we gotta have him like do a little fist bump. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of that this year so far. He's been seeming stressed, man. He's been getting ejected
yeah.
as I mean that's normal, but like I don't know, dude. I think he's feeling the pressure too. I think like if we don't do it, I think he might be let go. Um, and then we might see this squad just like
That's. I think that's the least that's gonna happen. Like we said, like what's on the line, Final Four in your home stadium. If he doesn't deliver that, he's. I think the least is he's gone. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
he's cooked. And I think Sluka's gonna retire at the end of this season. I think this is his third year with us.
This is, yeah. I feel like he could keep going. I don't think he's going to. I think he was pretty adamant that this is gonna be it. But I would personally like to see another year, maybe even two out of him, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, same. Same. I would love to see. He's still got
Because he's not really old, right? He's what 34? Is he?
35, I think.
35.
Mm.
Yeah. He's undersized, but it's like his style of play, like if we could find a younger version of that, dude, that would be huge for this team. Like the big problem is gonna be like, we mentioned Lasor, but replacing him is gonna be hard because you notice the difference. Like when especially like the Monaco game, it was I think it was Nunn and Jarian out there. Like the ball's not really moving. Like it's just kind of like none ISO, none ISO, none. Then Sluka comes in, we're cutting to the basket all of a sudden. Oh, we're getting an easy layup. Oh, we're getting a foul. We're going to the line. Like our attack becomes so much, our offense becomes so much more like multifaceted when he's on. But when it's like when he's out, it's like just like none, like dribble between the leg, sidestep, fadeaway miss, or he'll get the shot or whatever. And it's like it's kind of like the FC. We're very predictable, and that needs to be sorted out for sure.
Mhm.
Let's see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got, guys, for BC. Again, we have that Red Star game, and then we have Betty Steady in the league that we're gonna play next Saturday. So from there on out, after the Betty Steady game and the Red Star game, it's gonna be we're gonna be playing some. I mean, Red Star is gonna be tough too, but we're gonna be playing some tough teams going forward. But that's all I got. Did you guys want to add anything before we finish it off?
I'm
No,
good.
All right. Well, this was our first time having Yango on. Yango, I'm looking forward to doing more episodes with you, man. This was a great conversation. Alex, as always, great conversation.
pleasure,
And
boys.
yeah, hopefully we get these victories for both FC and BC this coming week.
Hope so. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely, guys. If you guys aren't already, please be sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, X. We're also on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel, and then of course on Spotify, where you'll be able to listen to this audio in the car or working out or whatever, you guys. So that's all the episode, you guys. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.